Have you ever had that exact moment where you check your bank account on the payday and for a few fleeting hours you feel entirely fine? But then, you know, real life kicks in. Rent goes out, bill hits, and suddenly you are right back to doing that quite anxious math in your head at the grocery store. That's crazy paradox, right? You can be earning a better living than you ever had before. Yet somehow you still feel completely broke. Well, today we are going to fix that. We are going to reveal the hidden rules of wealth that go away beyond simple budgeting app and spreadsheets. And let's dive right into this because it is incredibly frustrating. Listen, you aren't lazy and you aren't bad with numbers. But there is this exhausting cycle of feeling rich on payday and practically holding your breath by Thursday. In this video, we are going on a journey from the surface level symptoms down to the deep hidden roots of your financial behavior. We are going to look at the rules that are quietly running beneath your decision, the ones actually deciding whether you are building wealth or just surviving. Welcome to Finquesty. Here, we explore the ideas, habits, and financial strategies that can help you build strong financial future. If you are someone feeling stuck with money, wondering if you are making the right financial decisions or looking to improve your financial life and make smarter financial moves, make sure to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up if it brings value to you. Okay, we are going through 10 money rules, and look, some of these are going to sound almost too simple when I say them out loud. But here's the thing, simple doesn't mean easy. And most people break at least 7 of these without even realizing. So let's get into it. Let's peel back our first layer of financial behavior, which is our everyday visible spending and the psychological traps we all inevitably fall into. The science of why we buy things is absolutely fascinating. You see an item online and your brain literally screams that you need it right now. But research on anticipation shows us that impulse buying isn't actually about the object itself. It's about dopamine. Something of a purchase lights up your brain's reward system far more intensely than actually buying the things you want. You're basically chasing a high. So rule number one is the 24-hour rule. Strictly wait 24 hours for any on-plan purchase worth 50 bucks. No exceptions. Still, you want it tomorrow with a clear head? Great, go ahead to buy it. But usually, you'll find that intense urge just deflates once the emotional spike passes. And this brilliantly illustrates why the delay matters. Let's run the shocking maths on this. If you pause and save just 50 bucks a week on those impulse purchases, you literally wouldn't even remember making, and you invest at historical market average of around 7% for 20 years. It turns into a staggering $107,000. You aren't just saving a 50 bucks today. You're quietly, literally preserving $100,000 of your future wealth. Now, you might be thinking, okay, I'm not impulsive, I just need to earn more. Fair. But here is where it gets uncomfortable. Research consistently shows that as income rises, spending tends to rise right along with it. I'll be honest with you, I've done this with myself. The first real rise I ever got, I went straight out and started looking at things I absolutely did not need. It took me almost 2 years to notice that my savings rate hadn't moved at an inch since back when I was earning less. The number on my paycheck had gone up. The number that actually mattered hadn't moved at all. Well, that brings us to rule number 2, lifestyle trade. Think of your finance like a goldfish tank. If you put a goldfish in a small bowl, it stays small. Drop that exact same fish in a massive tank and it goes to fill the space. Your spending behaves the exact same way with your rising income. Unless you intentionally bank at least half of your rises before your lifestyle adjusts, those rises will never build your wealth. They are just going to build your expenses. Moving on to the section 2, architecting financial safety. This is all about building a structural wall that protects the money you're out there earning and keeping now. Rule number 2 only works if you follow rule number 3, paying yourself first. Look, most people save whatever is left over after they spend. The problem is, there is never anything left over. Have you heard of Parkinson's law of expenditure? It states that expenses is to consume whatever income is available. If you wait to save whatever is left over, at the end of the month, you are going to fail and actually scratch your head. It is not a willpower issue at all. It's a math issue. Your brain will always find a creative way to consume available funds. You have to flip the order. The moment money lands in your account, create a mechanism that automatically moves a percentage of your money into saving or investment account before you ever see it as spendable. This isn't new advice. By the way, it is the entire premise of the book called The Richest Man in Babylon, which is almost over 100 years old at this point. And it still works for one simple reason. You can't spend money you never see. You cannot accidentally save money. You have to architect it. And you absolutely need that architecture because of these next terrifying numbers. According to the Federal Reserve, historically over third of American cannot over a $400 unexpected expenses with cash on hand. Just let that sit with you for a second. Not $4,000, $400, a dead battery car, a routine vet visit. Without a cash cushion, every minor inconvenience quietly becomes a high interest debt emergency. So, rule number 4 is actionable and honestly mandatory. Building the starter fund. This prevents a simple $2,000 car repair from landing on a 24% interest credit card, which can easily trap you in a 7-year debt spiral where you end up paying back double what you put. An emergency fund isn't just about money, it is about giving yourself options. Okay, this is where the maths gets genuinely wild, and I think this is the least understood rule on this entire list. This brings us to rule number 5, which is perhaps the most misunderstood mathematical rule in all of the personal finance. We're talking about time. I want to set up a totally mind-blowing scenario for you here. Picture two people. Person invests $200 a month, studying at age 25, and stops completely at 35. Just 10 years of contribution, and never adds any dollar. Just let it sit. Person B waits until 35 to start and invests the same $200 a month every month for next 30 years, all the way to 65. Person B contributes for 3 times as long. Person B puts in $72,000 in total. Person B puts in only $24,000, a third as much. At a 7% average return, as age of 65, Person A ends up with roughly $281,000. Person B ends up roughly around $244,000. Person A wins by around $37,000, while contributing around $45,000 less. Now, you might be thinking, great, I am 34. I guess I'll be missed the window. You did not. That's not the lesson here. The lesson is that whatever age you are at right now is the youngest you will ever be again for this decision. And the version of you 10 years from now would trade almost anything to have today as a studying line instead of a memory. Here's what most people don't realize. It was never really about how much you invest. It is about how long that money gets left alone. Compounding does not reward how much you start. It rewards how long you leave it alone. Now, here is where it gets really interesting because this next one actually breaks the assumption that maths always win. If you got a multiple debt, traditional finance logic says pay off the higher interest rate first. That is the avalanche method. And on paper, it minimizes total interest you pay. Mathematically, it is optimal. But researchers who studied real world debt payoff behavior found something strange. People who instead paid off their small balance first, completely ignoring the interest rate, the snowball method, were significantly more likely to actually become fully debt free than people using the mathematically superior approach. Why? Because debt payoff isn't really a mathematical problem. There is some motivational problem that happens to involve numbers. Wiping out a small balance gives you an actual finish line. A win you can feel in weeks, not in years. And that momentum is often the entire difference between someone who finishes and someone who quietly gives up around month 4. So here is the nuance. If your interest rates are roughly similar across debts, stumble it for the psychological week. But if one debt has a brutally high rate, a 20% credit card sitting next to a 4% student loan, the math gap is too large to ignore, and avalanche is what the extra grind. Know which problems you are actually solving before you pick a method. Let's talk about the financial decision that most people get backward. That's insurance and protecting what you have already paid. Here's the thing. Insurance feels like wasted money every single month. You don't use it. That's exactly why people skip it, uninsured or grab the cheapest plan without reading what it actually covers. But insurance was never really about probability. It is about consequences. The odds of your house burning down this year are tiny. But if it happens and you are uninsured, that is not a setback. That is the financial extinction. So, here is the actual goal. Insure against anything that would be catastrophic if it happens, even if it is statistically unlikely, and skip insuring the small stock you could comfortably absorb out of. The same logic applies once you start actually accounting wealth. Or will the right account structuring, basic legal protection, boring paperwork that exists for exactly one bad day you hope never comes. Insurance is only thing you buy hoping you never have to use it. And that's exactly why it works. Now, you might be thinking, I don't compare myself to others. Here's the thing, you probably do, just not consistently. Now, we are descending much deeper into the iceberg to explore the fascinating ways our mind deceives us about money status and the stock market. Rule 8 is the comparison rule. It is incredibly easy to look around and think everyone else is doing better than you. But the iceberg perfectly illustrates this illusion. Visual wealth is just a tip. A new car loses roughly 20% of its value the moment you drive it off and around 60% within 5 years. And yet, people finance branded new cars, constantly to project an image of success, are often the ones who can least afford it. What their actual net worth, the numbers that determines real financial freedom, quietly strings in the back. Visual wealth, that is car, the trips, the renovative kitchen, is just the tip of the iceberg. The small piece sitting above the waterlines that everyone can see. Real wealth sits below the surface, completely invisible to anyone looking from outside. The people who look the richest are often the ones who can least afford to keep looking that way. This might be the most expensive mistakes on this entire list, and it has nothing to do with picking the wrong investment. There is a research firm called Darwin that studies actual investors' behavior every year, and the same pattern shows up again and again. The average investor earns several percentage points less per year than the very market index they are invested in. Not because they pick bad funds, because of when they bought and sold. They panic sell during the crash and buy back in only after prices have already recovered, locking in the losses and missing the rebound over and over. Think about March 2020. Market dropped fast and hard, and it genuinely felt like the floor was disappearing. Anyone who panicked and pulled everything out near the bottom locked permanent losses. Anyone who just stayed put watched the market not only recover but go on to hit the new high within about a year. Market behaves a lot like a roller coaster. The drops feel like terrifying in the moment. Your stomach lurches. Feels like the bottom is falling. But the people who get hurt aren't the one who stayed in their state. It's the one who panic and jump mid-ride. The market doesn't punish the people for investing. It punishes people for panicking. And this brings us to the most surprising rule of all. The one quietly running underneath every single rule on this list. Financial psychologists use the term called money scripts. Unconscious beliefs about money you likely absorbed as a kid, often by the time you were 7 years old, just from watching the adults around you. Money is scarce. Rich people are greedy. We don't talk about money in the South. Those beliefs run in the background of every financial decision you make as an adult. And they frequently override logic completely. Here's why this matters more than any spreadsheets ever could. Your financial behavior works a lot like a thermostat. You can throw more income at it, get a raise, or get a bonus, but if your internal set point is I am just not someone who has money, your spending will unconsciously rise, or your decision will quietly damage themselves until you are pulled right back to that familiar temperature. That is exactly why lottery winners and high earners still go broke. You cannot out on an identity you have never actually examined. Money does not change who you are. It is just turns up the volume on who you actually were. So, the real fix isn't another budgeting app. It is sitting down and honestly asking yourself, what did I learn about money before I was even old enough to question it? Because until you find that script, you are not really managing your money. You are managing a belief system you never consciously chose. Identifying your own internal set point is the single most critical step to actually keep the wealth you build. So, I want to leave you with this really powerful question. What did you learn about money before you were old enough to question it? I challenge you to deeply examine your childhood briefly, but don't stop there. Look back over the rules we have covered and pick just one rule to implement this week. Just one. Small repetitive decisions compound over time, just like your money. Thank you so much for joining and make sure to subscribe for more deep videos that will transform the way you understand the world.